Hey everybody, what's up? On this video, I'm going to show you how to use webinars to sell more. Boom. Hey guys, what's up? Hernan Vazquez here, and welcome to another video, to another episode, to another portion of me rambling all over your monitor, which according to some people is pretty cool, you know? And then we wonder why the world it is as it is. But anyways, the thing is that I wanted to help you guys for the support, the comments. You have been hitting me up on Facebook Messenger, Facebook Messages, and Messenger is the app. But you know, that's just been amazing. You know, keep doing that. I do not mind those messages, just so you know, I probably do not have the time to answer them all right guys? But you know, even if you have any questions or whatever, you can drop them on the comments below. I try to answer to all of the comments, etc. And thank you once again. Thank you for the support. It's been amazing for me so far. And you know, as I always say, you hit the like button, you keep hitting the like button, the subscribe button, the comment button, and I'll keep delivering, which is the main point of this channel. Now, onto today's topic or subject, it's how to use webinars to sell more. Now, the truth is that I've been using webinars for the past maybe 2 years, and it's by far one of the best selling tools out there. Now, let me explain you how a webinar works for those out there that have been living under a rock and do not know what's a webinar, or maybe you're not entirely familiar with the term. A webinar basically is a live presentation when you share knowledge with the public and you share value and then you sell at the end. That's usually kind of the TLDR of a webinar. Now, the keyword here is value and knowledge, because I've been to those webinars that are completely a pitch fest, and you know, you get out like actually pissed of the webinar because you have wasted like 1 hour or maybe 2 hours of your time. Now, the big marketers out there, they do have a webinar formula, and it all starts something like this. You start the introduction kind of asking questions, you know, trying to engage with the audience. Then you move on to the takeaway and what people will learn from the webinar. Then you go to your history, that is why they should be listening to you. And maybe this is a great part of the webinar because people can actually relate to your history. Now, if you've seen like Tony Robbins, Oprah, they do not need a presentation, but they repeat their history over and over and over again, because that's one of the best ways to sell, actually, is to relate to people. So webinars present the opportunity for you to actually relate to your audience with your history. Now, once you're done with your history, you move into the actual content of the webinar. So let's say that you have like a 60-minute webinar. The first maybe 15 minutes would be of the introduction, the engagement of the webinar with the audience, you know, telling the takeaway, what they're gonna take away, then your history, and then maybe half an hour it's gonna be of pure value content, because this is the main topic of the webinar. If you wanna sell more using a webinar, you need to be really helpful with people. Those are the webinars that perform the best. And not only that, you will be helping your audience for free, which is pretty damn cool. Now, after you're done with the content, then there's a 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes mark of actual pitch. And the pitch should be, you know, it doesn't have to be like a pitch fest. It should be, you know, segue right into the pitch and why it's the next logical step for them to consume, because you're showing them the what on the webinar, the what they should be doing, but not the how. The how is your product, the how is your service, the solution that you're trying to sell on the webinar, okay? So that's basically, and then you have, of course, then you have a Q&A session. So basically, some of the webinars that I've seen doing by the pros and some of the webinars that I've done myself, they have the whole 1 hour structure, and then you go as long as it needs, and your audience needs for the Q&A, all right? That's how you turn a 1 hour webinar into a 3 hour webinar, just because of the Q&A, because you can get like 1 hour one extra hour of Q&A, which is amazing, okay, because you're actually interacting with people, and usually the Q&A on the webinar has to do with selling questions, okay? So if you're anything into selling, you will know that asking questions is actually showing interest in the product that you're selling. So have that in mind. That's like the TLDR of the structure of the webinar. You'll start with, the presentation, some engagement, what they're gonna learn from the webinar. Then you move into your story, what they should be listening to you in the first place, what they should stay for the rest of the webinar. You can see the bonus, that's usually best practice as well. And then you move on to the actual content of the webinar, and then the last 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes are for the sales pitch, the bonuses, what they will get, why it's a good idea to jump into the offer right there and then you move into the question and answers. Now, this is all fine, this is all good. There are some webinar programs like Lewis House, which is amazing, a program. You have some from Kern, which is also amazing, and those guys have real dialed down the webinar art, okay, because this is actually an art. Now, how do you promote a webinar? That's step number 2. Once you have the webinar, how do you promote it? Well, if you're using the 3-step funnel that I've used, that I showed, I'm gonna leave a link over here or in the description below or over here or somewhere, at some point if you're watching this in 2038, it might pop out of the screen. Click here, that big button that you're seeing right now right below your nose, which is pretty damn cool, okay? But right now you will see a click here button or on the description somewhere here. Now, the truth is that how do you promote that? If you go and check that 3-step funnel, there's a great way of promoting webinars, which is through retargeting. And I've talked about retargeting earlier. You make a great piece of content, you send cold traffic to it via SEO, PPC, communities, etc., and then you retarget people into a webinar. The webinar itself could be a great lead magnet. Okay, so you do not need to set up like an extra report or anything like that. You can do it from the webinar itself, and maybe you can do the 2 things, like sign up for the webinar and I'll send you this free report. Okay, so the webinar itself is the lead magnet, and what's great about webinars is that you can actually provide value. People can get to interact with you live, unless it's a pre-recorded webinar, which people should be aware of that. And I talked to another webinar expert, which is Mo Ali, which helped me a lot dialing down my webinars. I'm gonna leave a link below so that you can contact him as well. And a really cool saying of his is that when you go to broadcast, you know that you're watching a live presentation. When you go to a theater, you know that you're watching a live presentation. When you go to the movies, you know that you're watching a recorded presentation. Okay, that's not happening there live. Okay, it's not like Darth Vader. It's actually moving the lightsaber right there and then, and you know that, all right? The problem comes rather when you're trying to sell people on one thing and it's actually the opposite, all right? So people are completely fine with recorded webinars. That's why Webinar Replays exists. People are completely fine with live webinars. There's a big distinction between the 2, and you need to be really clear about that. Okay, guys? Just so you know, have that in mind if you're trying to do a recorded webinar, a pre-recorded webinar, or a live webinar, or even a hybrid, like you will jump on a Q&A after the pre-recorded webinar ends, which is a pretty good practice as well. So I hope this helps you gathering and grasping the content of the context of why you should be using webinars for your service, your products. Webinars are one of the best sales weapon out there, and there's a formula, step-by-step formula. Again, I'm gonna leave a link to Lewis House, Kern, and my personal favorite, Mo Ali, on the description below. And also go ahead and check that video about the 3-step 6-figure funnel, because it fits perfectly if you're trying to do a webinar. Okay, guys? Thank you for watching. If you have any questions whatsoever, just drop me a comment below about webinars, SEO, PPC. Click on the subscribe button. Just leave me a like, a thumbs up. It will be really, really appreciated. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.